All right. Welcome, everybody. We got another StemWave live webinar here with one of our providers. I'm Ben Ceccarelli. I'm the Chief Brand Officer here at StemWave. And we do these webinars every, a couple times a month, every so often. And the goal is to speak with one of our actual StemWave providers. It's been through the whole process from seeing an ad to getting the device and infusing it into their practice and actually hear what their whole experience was like from A to Z, and then also get the opportunity to ask them questions. Today we've got a very special guest. So we have all types of providers that appear on these live Q&As. And today we have one that's a DNP. And it's very exciting because we haven't had really anyone like this type of medicine before. So we're very excited to hear what her journey's been like with StemWave and how she's been infusing it into her practice. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Cherese Combs, coming from Olympic Regenerative Medicine in Sequim, Washington. So, Cherese, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for that nice introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. I told you this in the little pre-interview, but we are so excited to have you on. Your specialized skill set plus using StemWave is something that a lot of people are just itching to have their questions answered and to hear more about. So, kind of before we get into, all the fun StemWave stuff, which there's a lot of really fun StemWave stuff as
Yeah.
it relates to your experience. I want to give people a little bit of background on who you are, where you come from, what got you into medicine in the first place.
Okay. Yeah. So I started out as a traditional RN in the early 90s and saw very quickly that I probably could do a lot more with my career. And so just worked full time and continued to work my way through all my degrees. And I did it one at a time. And worked family medicine in Idaho for years and years, 27 almost. I have been a full-time primary care provider. I've worked internal medicine and emergency medicine. And, a pivotal point for me was really COVID. I started to see things very differently, and I started to question, was the standard of care and the things that I was doing for patients who would come in and present ill really the best thing? Or could I be doing more to help people prevent, reverse, and treat disease? And when somebody came in with something like diabetes or hypertension, I started to think, well, is there a lifestyle thing we could do instead of just a medicine and then have them come back the next year and be sicker? And then I eventually opened my own practice, and that was open for years and years in Idaho. And what I learned through that process is how much I truly love people. And my patients became my family. And I'd sacrificed a lot to become really the provider that listens. And I started applying these lifestyle changes to their treatment plans. And what I noticed is that people were getting better and they were reversing their disease. And I was like, okay, there's something more than just writing prescriptions. And so COVID happened. I questioned more. Um, and I started to become really dissatisfied with getting these letters from insurance companies that said, we're not going to pay you or reimburse you because your diabetic patient isn't on a statin. And my diabetic patient wasn't diabetic anymore because we'd made lifestyle changes a year and a half prior, and then they didn't need any of those meds. So that was kind of a turning point for me to say, okay, I'm not happy with this model of sick care and I want to do better. So as a DNP and a nurse practitioner, we are very patient-centered trained. So the patient is first, and then how disease impacts their world and their life, that's where we do the interventions. So out of my love for patients and wanting to do better and feeling remorse because I felt like I should have known better sooner, I started learning in the functional medicine world, like asking why is this happening to this patient? So I had some very big changes in my life. I ended up selling my practice in Idaho and went on a little bit of a journey and ended up back home. So I grew up here in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State, where just like in Idaho, I have independent practice. And I did a market analysis, and found that my own hometown, my home area, really needed someone like me that looks at the functional level to help them help themselves. So the median age here in Sequim, Washington, where I live, is 60. So I have a lot of people here that are thriving. They move here because it's beautiful. They're out, they're hiking, they're vibrant, and they want to stay that way. And what I've learned through my journey with learning about more regenerative functional medicine, et cetera, is that that is very possible and that we don't have to become creaky and old and hurt. Our bodies are powerful and they will heal themselves, sometimes with a little help and support, StemWave being an example, but that we can really be in charge of our own health and our own trajectory. And one of my favorite things is and you hear it in the lifestyle medicine world and the functional medicine world a lot, is that genetics might load your gun, but it is your lifestyle that pulls the trigger. So I try to help people live that balanced lifestyle. And then sometimes we need tools to kind of coax the body into that healing state. And I see miracles every day. And so I went from being a burned out healthcare provider with remorse because I felt like I could have done better to seeing miracles every day. And it's very fulfilling. I am able to work 4 days a week. I have a cash pay only practice. So my patients, and that was a leap of faith, um, but I don't have to deal with insurance companies or the medical industrial complex. I treat people. And I don't treat numbers. I don't treat insurance companies. I don't have to be ruled by big pharma. There is a place for all of those things, but I can actually help the patient find ways to heal themselves. And that's where StemWave has been life-changing for me, not only as a healthcare provider who was struggling with burnout, but also as someone that wants to truly help my patients heal and move forward. And it really, the it's the craziest technology. It's super complex and yet it's so simple. And yeah, it's been an amazing tool to use in this realm. So that's in a brief overview, the high level of kind of who I am and how I got to where I am today. So yeah, I've been in practice about 5 months. Um, and I really thought I'd see like, 6 to 8 patients a day. No, I have a waiting list. I see 15 to 16 a day. And yeah, I just get to work with the most incredible people who are invested in living either a long, healthy life and or reversing any current disease that they may have. So yeah, it's
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who has lived in the Pacific Northwest, I know exactly what you're saying. It's gorgeous, especially in the summers.
Yeah.
If you live there during that time of year, you want to be outside. You don't want any nagging injury, any chronic pain to hold you back from getting on those hikes and getting out there and going by the water, any of that stuff. So yeah, it sounds like you have the perfect recipe where you are. I also just want to say that we talk to a lot of providers, and it sounds like you are like the perfect like STEM wave mentality. Somebody that wants to go against what traditional healthcare always recommends, which is like cut them open, give them pills, all that stuff. I mean, that's literally why we exist as a company to try to change that, knowing
Yeah.
that the body can help itself, heal itself with a little bit of help from technology.
Yeah.
But just hearing you talk and hearing your passion for trying to do it a better way, a different way, and really connect with your patients as human beings. Honestly just I can't think of a better type of practitioner for this technology.
Yeah, it's perfect. What I didn't realize at the time I said yes to StemWave um, was how profoundly it was going to change not only my business sense, but how I'm able to onboard other service lines. So, excuse me, for example, I'll have someone come in. Here's a patient, and she knows I'm going to talk about her today. She came in, she could barely walk. Her hips had been basically fused. She came in for stem wave treatment, and I actually didn't start her with stem wave because I recognized very quickly that the root cause of these fused hips in this woman who's in her 60s was severe and prolonged hormone insufficiency.
Mm.
And so before I even used StemWave, because I wanted her body to be decreased inflammation and the best incubator for those stem cells that come from the StemWave treatment, I had a conversation with her about hormone optimization and why I felt that was the root cause. And she was scheduled to go over and have a $20,000 procedure in Seattle to try and help with the hip thing. And she'd already done one such procedure and it failed, and they'd spent thousands and thousands of dollars. And I'm like, let's just try this. And I explained why. And she had faith in me and she's been on this journey. So we optimized her hormones, immediately started seeing some improvement. And we just a couple weeks ago started her StemWave journey. And I got an email from her last night. Um, and she said, I want you to know that I get a little emotional. She said, I want you to know that I was able to cook dinner last night and clean my kitchen without any urgency to sit down and rest because of the severe hip pain.
Wow.
And knowing her quality of life, this is the most lovely person. And then, of course, other personal things that she shared with me that has improved through this journey. But she's not even halfway through her stem wave treatment to get these hips, unfused. And every time I see her, because it's pretty invasive when you work on the hips, you go in to the groin area and around, and, it's an intimate partnership with your patient. But every week I see that her range of motion is increasing and that she's able to relax more and that she has more function. I see it weekly. But for her to see and have that moment where she was free to just do things around the house, I mean, it's awesome. So, and that's just one of hundreds of stories that I have like that just touch my heart, and that's why we all got into this. And I know nurses, especially nurse practitioners, we love people and we evolve into this, higher role as healthcare providers because of that, because we love people. Nobody became a nurse practitioner because we wanted to see 30 people a day and give crappy care. We're kind of a special breed that way. We cross some boundaries. We tend to bond more with our patients. We just do. It's kind of what, the heart of the nurse is. And I love it because I can do that full force and it's exciting and we're high-fiving and hugging and all the good stuff. So I get constantly rewarded by seeing individuals live their better life. It's really exciting. So,
Yeah, oh my gosh. I mean, like even just hearing you talk about that one patient, I like to talk about this a lot because, as exciting as it is for, the star athlete that can get back out on the field or the court or
yeah,
whatever, it's really like the regular people that can do normal things again. And we
yeah.
forget about that when people are in chronic pain, just the simple stuff like not being able to cook a full meal without having to sit down. To
Yeah.
give someone that back, I mean, that's really what it's all about. And so
Oh,
I know you have more stories about that, and we'll get into some more of those stories. But what I want to, take a minute, a section here, and just talk about like how you even got from the point of going into your own practice, having this like paradigm shift of like, wait a minute, I think that there's a better way to offer care. And then discovering StemWave. Like, I'm sure that you weren't like an expert on extracorporeal shockwave therapy before
no.
anything like that. So, how was it that StemWave even got on your radar in the first place?
It's funny. I was doing PRFM injections to help, and I've had really pretty good success with that. And I kept seeing the StemWave advertisements pop up on Facebook and different things. And I was looking at the service lines that I was going to start my practice with. And I thought, I felt like something was missing, that I needed one more thing. And um, you and I have shared that I work with the Vixius Health System, and they have they're like you guys, just phenomenally helped me be a better provider and help people heal themselves. And so I had that all in play, but I thought there's just something more I wanted to do. So I saw the advertisement and I signed up and got connected with Dario. Am I saying it right?
Yep,
Yeah,
Dario. Yeah,
that was my
he's the
nurse.
man. Dario's the
Yeah.
man.
What a kind individual. But right out of the gate, he, no pressure, answered all my questions, and was so thoughtful and very intuitive. And anyway, so I put my faith in him because he was transparent and he answered my questions. And I was on a really rapid schedule. I need to get trained and get going. And he just knocked down all those barriers, helped me. I was a new practice. I'm like, I don't even know if I can finance this thing, et cetera, et cetera. And nope, he just set me up with everything. And he still checks in on me today. I love that guy. Someday I'm going to meet him and give him the biggest hug because he really opened the doors for me. And from there, I was introduced to the StemWave team and just handed every step of the way. And I want to say this right out of the gate, and you probably want me to say this later, but I'm going to say it
Oh,
now and
go for
promise
it.
it.
Go for it. Yeah.
If you fail in business as a StemWave partner, it's your fault. There is no way that you can fail at StemWave and lose on this investment because even if you didn't have StemWave as a tool, the things you learn about how to market, how to run a business, how to network, how to communicate with your patients, how to document, how to use the tool, how to learn from your colleagues. I mean, you as a company have literally set up there, it's fail proof. You cannot fail if you follow the steps. Everything's there. I'm really lucky. I didn't have to do every single thing that was recommended, but if this was a tighter market, I still would succeed because every tool has been made available to me from the marketing team that they're just so inspirational. They give you templates, they give you handouts, they give you networking strategies. They go from individually to the patient to how to network to businesses. I mean, how to price your products, how to package them, how to show patients improvement with video if you need to do that, which by the way, I don't even have time to do. That's how busy I am with StemWave. So it's a leap of faith when patients come in, but it's an easy leap because right out of the gate, they're getting improvement. So, and then Maria Lena, I have to call her out. She calls, she checks in on you, she gives you feedback, she networks you, she sets you up. I've had the privilege of being trained with Dr. Morris, who that man is a phenomenal human being. He's so gifted in what he does, but he's so kind and generous with his knowledge. And he's been incredibly supportive. I could call him anytime if I needed him, and he would respond to me. There's the school program. So if you're busy like me, I hit the floor running because the STEM wave was so popular. All of a sudden, I couldn't make all the live calls and all the live sessions. And so I could go back and watch them on recording. And then there's modules on how to treat different joints. So in the beginning, when I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? I could go and watch the video on how to treat a hip really quickly. And the learning curve was steep but quick, and it comes very easily once you kind of get control. There's a bit of an art and science to STEM wave. You start to develop that, and then you start making it your own, which is phenomenal. But every step of the way, my hand has been held. I mean, I'm going to tell you guys something personal that's really special is that Dario, and there's way more to this than he ever knows, or maybe he knows now because I shared it with Maria Lena. But he even sent me flowers for my wedding. I mean, this
Way to go,
company,
Dario.
yeah, he's a great guy, but it's just a case in point. Each and every point of contact with StemWave is like him. He was just my first point of contact, but every single person I've encountered is positive and supportive and there when I need them. And I just have such a heart full of gratitude because it has made me a better healthcare provider, a better human, a better businesswoman, a better strategist, and just it's made me the depth and breadth of who I am better because I have the privilege of associating with you. And I am not getting paid to say this. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just the truth. So if you are risk averse and you want something that works, StemWave just works. And I would say my success has been really largely because of StemWave. It is actually my leading service line. And it was the last line that I added, which is funny because I really thought things would pan out a little bit differently. But no, it's been great. And then it gives me the opportunity to share other things to help people heal. And you develop these amazing, intimate relationships with people and you just watch them thrive. It's really cool. Really
Wow.
cool.
Well, again, shout out to Dario and our whole sales team because they
Oh,
really do, care for the providers. And then also Maria Elena, who is your client success manager. And we have a whole client success team that holds the provider's hands through the whole process and make sure you guys are comfortable. It's really what sets us apart, among other things that you mentioned from, some other companies out there. But, as the chief brand officer, it's really important for everyone in the company to understand like what our brand is, and what our brand is whatever you guys say it is.
yeah.
It's whatever your patients say it is. We provide the device for you guys and all the support, but you are the front lines of StemWave. You're the ones treating patients with it. So your experience through this whole process, and then the patient's experience through you, is really important to us. And that's why, and I'm so glad this is actually being demonstrated, especially with your stories.
Yeah.
Our whole team knows the most important thing is that you guys are taken care of. Our providers are taken care of, that they are supported, and that they're set up for success from day one. And that we check in with you guys and we send flowers for weddings and all that kind of stuff because you are the brand. It is you, it is not us. So that is so great to hear. What I'd love to do, because I want to give people an idea of what to expect with different parts of this process. You mentioned that you got to do a group training with Dr. Morris, who is also one of my favorites. We have a whole clinical advisory team that does group trainings across the country. So if you do become a StemWave provider and you go to a group training, there's most likely one near your city. So it's very easy to get to. But Dr. Morris, personality wise and the way he does his trainings, I've been able to see it in person, and it's very, very fun, very informative. Since you came from like a nursing background and now you have your own practice, and then you're taking this leap of faith with this crazy shockwave device, what was that experience of going to the group training like, to be around other medical professionals, all different types, and get trained hands-on on this new technology?
It was an amazing, amazing experience. So Dr. Morris and his wife both, they just make you feel so incredibly welcome. And they're in that space too, where they also do primary care and then they have regenerative type practice as well. So they have two practices and they get it. They get the burnout. They see the difficulty with traditional medical care. And I would say everyone in the room at that training, it was a small, intimate training. I think there was maybe 20 people or fewer. So we got a lot of one-on-one with them and just learning how the device actually works, how to use it hands-on, and then treating each other and getting that experience with Dr. Morris right at the elbow. It was really great. But every single person in that room, we all were there because we wanted a tool to help the body heal itself. And so we were really literally in a room full of forward-thinking healers that just want to see people get better. And we had physical therapy there. We had chiropractic. We had traditional and MDs in primary care and in specialty pain management. There was a couple of us that were nurse practitioners, some independent practice, some worked for other individuals. So it was a great mix and just was really fun to interact and learn from each other. Um, and in fact, at our practice or at our practice sessions, yeah, there were other nurse practitioners there, and they were like me, small, and saw and wanted to have different healing modalities. It's an amazing space to be in to take all that training and education because we have years of it. Have a DNP, you have to have two residencies. It's not like we just get to, call ourselves doctor. It's not
Mhm.
like that. It's hard earned. So, and we're constantly applying science at the bedside, and this was just the best application ever because you read the literature, the research, and then right there with Dr. Morris at the elbow, we're able to put it into practice. Um, so and then you get to network during lunch and they feed you good food and it's just positive and you any questions you can ask anything. A few people in the group had already had their STEM wave and then were coming to the training, so they had experience and great questions that would have come up for me but were answered because they were there. And then of course Dr. Morris's experience. And one of the things that was pretty profound, he showed us around, his practice, and he has a room in there that is full of, he calls it his machine graveyard, of products and machines, expensive ones, $1 million machines that are sitting there not being used because the support was not there. The company didn't support it. And that was kind of my fear going in and buying StemWave. I'm like, how's this going to go down? But I just had a really good feeling based on my beginnings, starting with Dario and then moving forward. And Dr. Morris just confirmed that. So he has two STEM waves in his practice, and I think they're going all the time. But he explained the difference between, how our experience was going to be different with STEM wave versus these other machines, and he was spot on with that. So that was really nice reassurance. And yeah,
The
it's
device graveyard is a real thing.
it is
And
a
it's
thing.
not just
I
Dr.
heard
Morris.
that.
There's so many providers
Oh,
that talk about it.
so many. Well, and you and I were talking kind of before
Mm.
this interview that I've been lucky to align myself with just a few companies that are standout like StemWave. And then I've had one really bad experience. And boy, when you have that, it makes you fearful because, nobody likes to see their money sucked away to go not help somebody. So yeah, it's a leap of faith. Anyone listening, I would just tell you, I promise you, you can't fail. You cannot fail. There are so many tools in place. In fact, layers and layers and layers of tools from your marketing team, from your clinical care team, from your patient representative. You cannot fail. There's just so much more coming out even that we can do with StemWave than even I ever imagined. So it's pretty exciting. And so you can grow that. The other thing I've done with StemWave that's really exciting, and this is part of the DNP in me because we take the evidence and then we apply it at the bedside and then we evaluate the outcomes, is I've been able to take the training that I got for StemWave on, you use the protocols and that gets you kind of how to use it and be comfortable with it, but really morph it into an artful science, so that each patient's care plan is unique. But in my case, I would say it's even dynamic and changes visit to visit. Because sometimes as we correct one area, like say a knee, for example, we're fixing maybe an issue with the medial collateral ligament, all of a sudden we might be like, you're mapping kind of a meniscal issue, because as that pain gets under control, something else might manifest. Gate control theory, we don't always know where sources of pain are going to be. And so by being dynamic and flexible at the moment, each treatment to treatment, you can get that knee like almost 100%, if not 100%. I get a lot of 100%. So it's really cool. So you learn the art and science and and it comes quickly. I've been in practice 5 months with my own STEM wave in my own practice. And it's amazing. So yeah, it's a really fun thing to see my own skill set grow. And anyway, I way beyond answered your
No, no,
question.
it's fantastic to hear, and I will say like I'm sorry that you had to go through a bad experience with another company. We are very aware
Oh
that
yeah.
most medical device companies they do the traditional. You buy the device, they drop it off at your doorstep, and they go, "See ya."
Yeah.
And so we do so many things to try to make sure that we're the opposite of that, and that we
Yeah.
give you guys support, and that we stand out among some of the other companies, even in the same space. Um, we talked about the group training. You touched a little bit on the marketing, but I think that's a big one. I'd love to dive deeper into that because first off, I'm gonna take a wild guess here and say with all of your, spare time that you have, you definitely didn't get a master's in marketing, did you?
No, not
Exactly.
at all. not
And
at all.
most of our providers, they're so busy, they don't have time to research how to market and all that stuff. And that's why we really do pride ourselves on providing that side of the company for you. And it's definitely something that is very rare for a medical device company to offer. But I would love for you to share more in depth of what your experience has been like, because you mentioned a little bit about how you really learned a lot about business through working with us. And I would love for you to explain a little bit more about that to our listeners here.
Yeah. So, um, marketing team, thank you, Dr. Morris. You just did a good
I
job
saw
on
that. Dr. Morris just chimed
that.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Um, Yeah, so from the very beginning, I was a little marketing naive. I got really lucky when I did my first medical practice. It was very, very successful, word of mouth. So I had a patient panel. I left a large health system, and I instantly, had success. So going into a cash pay only, I was, that's a leap of faith because you're like, are people really going to pay cash and not use insurance to see me? And so it made it a little bit scary, but the marketing program, first of all, there's a complete program in school. So school is a program that StemWave uses that has modules for clinical training, for marketing, for clinical conversation and interaction. I'm probably forgetting all of the things that are on there, but really anything you could need. So if you're busy and you miss a live training or teaching, you can always go on there and learn at your own pace, and or if you just have that learning style. But in addition to that, every week you can meet with your marketing team, and they are going to walk you through from how to deal with it on the patient level side to how to go out and network. And they have two modules that are step by step on what to do and walk you through, in addition to having custom made templates that you can use through Canva, that you make your own, that you can use. You can make flyers, you can make cards, all sorts of things that are easy and print and go, because I didn't have time to design my own. No way, no
And we
how.
wouldn't want you to anyway. That's not your alley. That's our alley. Let us do that.
It was so awesome. But here's the best part. The best investment is you guys literally create and run the most professional Facebook ads. And that is crazy good. Not only is it an affordable marketing tool, but my return on investment is, I haven't even calculated. It's crazy. So I would say we sign up on average every week, and we actually had to calculate how many patients we could actually take. We max out at seven to eight patients a week, new patients a week with StemWave.
Wow.
So as people are offboarding, we've got people onboarding. We've got a bit of a waiting list at this point. So um, and that's all thanks to marketing. So I didn't have time to create my own Facebook videos and all of that. You guys have done all of that. There was a point where I was getting a demographic in the office that wasn't a good fit. I talked to Maria Lena. She got right on it. They flipped a few switches on however they do it. That's something I didn't have time to sit down and learn. And boom, we were right back in business targeting the right demographic and getting people in. And so I mean, you cannot fail. They literally do the advertising for you. They teach you how to go out and network and do your own. They teach you at point of care how to do it. They teach you how to incentivize your patients. They teach you, you can be as creative and hands on or hands off with your marketing as you want to be. There's a niche for everyone and everyone's level of busyness. So, yeah, you can't fail. You just can't fail. Just get the
I,
step and go change lives. I'm
well,
telling
I
you.
mean, yeah, 7 to 8 new patients a week. I mean, if those patients, even half of those sign up for care plans, like that is a substantial amount of
Oh
it.
no, that's who's signing up.
Oh, that's just signing up for care plans? Oh,
Yes, and that's and
gosh.
often more than one joint. I have some people I'm like, let's finish these three joints and then we'll start. Yeah, because once they see it works, it just snowballs. And then those patients are signing up for more. And I mean, sometimes I'm doing 45-minute appointments because it's I'm treating so many areas and I'm like, you got to be drinking a lot of water. I'm releasing a lot of toxins here. So they have to really commit to the lifestyle for me to do that many, but I try to layer them in too. But yeah, no. And then
Wow.
it's joyful at the end, right? When you hit session 10 or 12 with a patient, um, you've bonded with them, you've been with them for weeks, and you see them every week, and you look forward to seeing their progress and getting to know them and being part of the fabric of their life. And so it's almost sad to hand them off, but a lot of them will be like, well, I need my foot done too, or so
Mhm.
it's nice to continue that relationship. So it's really a special, sacred thing to be able to do to help somebody that intimately improve their quality of life. It's just, I can't tell you, it's a blessing. It's you don't get burned out, and you can see the effects. They're getting better, not sicker. And then sometimes, I have the privilege of helping people make those lifestyle changes. I've had this is actually worth mentioning. I love this because I am in that regenerative space and I want people to live their longest, healthiest, most vital ambulatory life, right? That's my goal for everyone that comes in my clinic. There have been a few times when a patient comes in so meta inflamed and so sick at the cellular level that StemWave struggles. They struggle. I struggle to get the outcomes. And so we will pause StemWave and we will say, okay, what is the root cause here? And I'll do a lifestyle assessment and really get to know them. Sometimes it's optimizing hormones. I've had a few that have had heavy metal toxicity that we had to correct. So finding out what's really the root cause, sometimes it's simply teaching them how to eat. Um, Getting that aligned and then resuming StemWave and just seeing them skyrocket to the end. And then here's the part that may have been mentioned in training, may not have, but I want to state it here because I think it's really important to share, is that even though they're at their last session with me, their healing continues. Those stem cells are there, those tissues are there. They continue to mature and grow and develop. My back pain and my neck pain patients, especially, they'll send me messages 3 months in, 4 months in. I've only been open 5 months, so I can only speak to that far, but they have continued improvement even after the stem wave sessions. And then I have a few patients that, because they came in so morbidly obese, we've had to work on metabolic alignment to get them better. So help them with weight loss and fixing that metabolism. And so they come in after maybe once a month just to spiff up because they do get re-injury at that large of a weight until we can get them kind of fully to a weight that they're not injuring those knees. They'll come in just for little tweaks, and it's nice to continue that relationship. But then to see them truly thrive is just super exciting. I offboarded someone yesterday that I've been working with, adore him, retired police officer, fabulous human being. And he came to me and he said, I just am not doing all the things I dreamed of in retirement because I hurt too much. And we were treating knees and hip. And yesterday, as we offboarded, he brought me some fresh halibut that he'd caught out at the bay and gave me a big hug. And he said, I am so grateful because now I'm doing all the things that I always dreamed I would in retirement. He said, I'm back riding my motorcycle and fixing cars and fishing and doing all the things that I love. And for me, that was just so life affirming that I'm fulfilling my purpose as a provider. And it's what gets me out of bed in the morning, even on tough days. When you're seeing people come in pain, I know at the other end of it that as we part, it's going to be a happy parting because they have improvement. They're living their life. So it's really cool.
So beautifully said. And what you were saying earlier about continuing to heal, and Dr. Morris can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the research shows that with this type of therapy, you can continue healing up to 2 years into the future, which is
Yeah, I
incredible for
believe
somebody
that.
here.
I believe
Yeah.
that. And he would have the experience to be able to answer that. I've
Yeah.
only, had it in my possession
We'll
for
check back in 2 years with you and see how your patients are
yeah,
doing.
yeah, that's really cool. I'll have to pull that literature. I can't believe I didn't think of that because I'm always pulling literature and applying it at the bedside. That's what DNPs do. So we're nerds about that.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah.
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 I wanna take a second here. We're at the time where I like to remind everybody that's tuned in live, and we have a good amount of people that are watching right here. If you guys have questions for Cherese, if you guys have questions about the device, her journey, throw it in the chat right now. We'll get to it in a few minutes as we go through everyone's questions. But this is like the best part about doing these live Q&As is that we can answer your questions live. While we're waiting for people to throw questions in there. Um, I want to touch on, you mentioned the marketing thing. I think it's important for people to understand that, we really will empower you guys to be able to have your businesses do well with StemWave. It goes beyond the Facebook ads, obviously, but whatever you as a provider are interested in doing to promote. I mean, we have providers that take out magazine ads, newspaper ads, radio ads. We support you. We will provide you with any help we can, whether it's artwork, whether it's actual audio for your radio ads. We can help you every step of the way. We want to separate ourselves from whatever else is out there, competition wise or other device companies, and really make sure that you guys have everything you need, which includes, and you mentioned school. For anyone confused, it's school with a K. So it's not like you have to go back to school. It's an online platform. And Cherese, you did hit on a bunch of the great aspects of it. There are live coaching calls. There is a message board. So think of it like you're not just going on a website, but you're joining a community. And I think that's the best way to think about it is when you become a StemWave provider, you join a community. And any questions you might have, Cherese, I don't know how active you are on the message boards, but I know that other providers, like there's very few times where there's a question they have where somebody doesn't have an answer. Because we have providers on there that are clinical advisors, providers that have used StemWave for, 3, 4, 5 years. Um, it's a great resource for any question you might have or anything that you might need protocol wise or anything like that.
It's an awesome resource, and I am on those. I watch them all the time. I don't have to contribute much because the clinical team for StemWave is so phenomenal. I'd love to meet the other clinicians sometime too. They are just phenomenal. I mean, in their responses, everyone's so responsive. So yeah, I've been impressed with every single one of them. And their thoughtful replies and their patience sometimes in getting their message across is yeah, I mean, seriously, the hiring process at StemWave, the way you guys have built your team and then just, push that out to us, it's a phenomenal company. It really is. I
We
am
love
just
hearing that.
blessed
Thank
to
you.
made that connection. And I blame Dario. It's all his fault. He was my point of entry. But no, I have not been disappointed. I I've literally felt so genuinely cared for as a provider. And that just takes that burden off me so that I can just really focus on my patients. And that really at the end of the day is what matters. So yeah.
All right. Well, we do have a question that is a perfect time to answer. So James is asking, FM doc, no panel, starting direct primary care practice, targeting disability, clearance exams for VA, police, fire. I'm working on external marketing to get my name out in the community. Aside from your existing panel, how do you integrate and market yourself personally in your community? It's a great question.
You know what's so funny? I didn't have to. I put I did a market analysis and I put up my sign. It says Olympic Regenerative Medicine. StemWave got them in the door and word of mouth, it just absolutely spread. So you will do phenomenal and StemWave in your practice is going to bring them in the door like crazy. So yeah, if you, especially doing direct care, because that model allows you a minute with your patient and to be able to talk to them. But this is going to be a beautiful lead into everything else you do, whether it's PRFM or hormone optimization, which is a great pain modality and awesome for your head injured patients or your patients with joint pain as well. It works really well with StemWave or peptides. Peptides are all the big thing. I have a huge peptide thing now that it's legal and it's all cleared through the FDA and we can prescribe them now. So that pairs really well. So every step of your care, especially the model that you're talking about, it will probably market itself and StemWave can be your lead in. So I actually did not have to even put dollars down. That's how well StemWave got them in the door for me. So I literally hit the lottery working with StemWave. I did. yeah, grateful, just so grateful.
Yeah, and James, after talking to hundreds of providers on these live Q&As, I know, Cherese is right. Like it really depends on the market you're in. So I know we have like some providers that are in areas of the country that are like, famously like retirement areas, like in Florida. And so oftentimes they'll go to like pickleball tournaments and, have some advertising there for what they do, or go to different places, gyms or things like that. Some of our providers are like linked up with like mixed martial arts. So they'll go and they'll actually put promotional material in those places. Obviously, make sure it's okay with whoever's running those places just to get the visibility. And then once people kind of know about it, word spreads, word of mouth, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can get as creative as you want.
You can, and the marketing team will even teach you how to go into like gyms or where's another good place? You can even market with
Retirement homes sometimes, like
hairdressers, etc.,
or
and you
hairdressers,
tell
yeah.
them about what you're doing. And because any occupation, the trades, those trades guys, they come in, and I treat. That's the other thing I want to say. I'm a cash only clinic, but I treat a lot of people in the trades, a lot of foresters, a lot of loggers, a lot of carpet layers, because they have to work and they have to stay in the game. And so I thought for sure I wouldn't reach that demographic, but they are one of my biggest, and they are word of mouth. They tell everybody. You keep them working and thriving, they're going to tell other people. So, and it's StemWave, everybody has improvement. You'll have the occasional person that walks in that maybe has a central brain lesion or something that, of course, we can't fix, but you might have another modality like a peptide or something that helps them. So you make those critical connections, and it will actually really help drive the people coming into your practice for sure.
Yeah, and James, also, we do have, and Sharice mentioned this before, like whatever artwork you need, we have a ton of flyers that are sports specific, so or fire specific or police specific. And if for anyone listening, if there is something that we don't have, when you talk to your client success manager, or you talk to the marketing team, and you're like, you know what? I don't know, I'm just gonna make something up. Pogo sticking is really big in my town. I'd love to target the pogo stickers. We'll make you a pogo stick flyer. There's nothing too crazy. We'll do it. So just as
Well,
long as there's communication.
you also mentioned, James, that you do the disability stuff. I'm pretty passionate about that too. My husband is a retired Navy captain. So, one of our marketing strategies, I got the inspiration from the marketing team. We advertise that we give a military discount. And it makes you feel so good. So, we include law enforcement and military in that. And they appreciate it and they come and they tell their friends. So, yeah, it makes a big deal. And the other thing that's really helpful is we are very good about if somebody refers someone and they buy a package, we give them an extra treatment, and they'll bank that or they can pass it on to a family member. We don't care. So all inspiration, not my original idea. All came from the marketing team, just ideas that they gave me that have really helped. So yeah,
It's
you
awesome.
can't fail. You can't fail. You just can't.
That's what we're going to title this live Q&A. You can't fail with Dr.
Fail.
Cherese Combs.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, James. So I would love to hear. I know you did a couple of these anecdotes, but this is my favorite part of getting to talk with our providers is hearing these kind of like life-changing stories with StemWave. So I know we already talked about the one patient you have with the hips, and then your fisherman, friend. Do you have some other stories you can share with us about some results with StemWave that absolutely just like blew your mind?
Yeah, my own family actually. Well, actually, let's start with me.
Okay.
So at the mapping session or at the training session with
Yeah.
Dr. Morris, um, what everybody there didn't know was that I had been in a car accident and I had been getting chiropractic and massage and manual therapy for over 2 years. And I would get this horrible searing pain from the right side of my neck into my trapezius and into those trigger points in my shoulder blade. Like it's by the end of the day, it was just like I was barely hanging on. It would burn so bad. And I'm trying to see patients, and it wears on you and it pulls you down. And the mapping session. So we're practicing that with Dr. Morris at the elbow. And they get to, and Dr. Morris is, kind of walking the person through it who's doing it, and they hit on those exact points. And what we found was, yeah, my facets are locked up, etc. But when they went down and hit the trigger points around the scapula there, that I, first of all, it didn't take a lot of energy. It went through, I could tell immediately. Do you know that pain relief lasted until I got my stem wave and started using it? That was the most pain relief I'd had in 2 years.
Wow.
So for me, it was a miracle. So I can talk to you now and not have burning in my shoulder just looking on the computer screen. So for me personally, it's been transformative. My husband, it has helped him with a myriad of things because he's very physically hard on himself. Um, my dad, this one makes me really happy. So my dad, he's actually my stepdad, but he is dad to me. And he's a good man, and he has sacrificed a lot to raise our very large family. I'm the oldest of 6 kids.
Wow.
And his shoulder was waking him up at night, and he wasn't getting good quality sleep. Both of his shoulders, actually, but one was really severe. And I said, well, come in, Dad, let's do stem wave on you. And in the beginning, when you're learning, you call all your friends and family so you can perfect your art. And his range of motion was extremely limited, and it just hurt him. So right away out of the gate, by treatment 3 or 4, he was sleeping through the night. So stem cells haven't even really arrived yet, and he's sleeping through the night, which that was great. And his range of motion, he got better, like up to here, but he still had to kind of do it at an angle, and he was still pretty frozen. I optimized his hormones, made sure he'd already corrected his lifestyle. We'd done that quite a while before. So he was eating clean and doing all of those things. And so I continued to stem wave, but I kind of quit asking about his range of motion because I was like, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to get that back. And so he goes, I don't know, it's probably treatment 6 or 7, maybe 8. He goes, you haven't asked me about my range of motion in a while. And I'm like, well, your pain's better, right? Just kind of was nervous to ask him. And he goes, let me show you something. And he stands up and walks to the door and high fives straight above his head like this on the door. And he goes,
Whoa.
I have my range of motion back. And I was just like, oh, it was so nice to be able to give that back to my dad, who had sacrificed so much working the trades to support our family. So it's very, very fulfilling. So now my dad comes in and often works the front desk while I'm seeing patients, and my husband is STEM wave trained. He was at the training too with Dr. Morris. And my husband's a retired nuclear engineer. So that's hilarious because he understands the STEM wave. So yeah, it's
Hmm.
a family affair, and we have all benefited personally from it. But literally, we could talk for days about the miracles that I've seen. Everybody leaves better. Um, one piece of advice that I would give is sell them as packages. Don't let individuals buy them individually because people are naughty. They don't follow through if they don't buy the package, or they're not fully invested. And those are the ones that will drop off and go say it didn't work. Well, it didn't work because they didn't complete it. Anyone who completes a package always has at least 80%, if not 100% improvement. And as you get more artful with your use of the STEM wave, and you get to learn it and use it dynamically visit to visit, your outcomes get better and better and better because you as a clinician are getting better and better. So it's really cool.
Wow.
But yeah, definitely sell it as packages. And the marketing team teaches you how to do that, and some of the psychology behind that. I don't even have to use that anymore. I just say, this is what it would cost you, but because I sell it as a package, this is what it is. And people are like, sign me up. So, yeah.
Such great advice. Also, so awesome to hear about your dad's recovery from his shoulder. And now it's nothing but high fives for dad,
I
as high
know,
as we can possibly
literally, he
reach.
came high
Yeah.
five me. I know, it's
Nothing
so
but high
cool.
fives. That's so great. All right. Well, we reached the end of our time.
Okay.
This was fantastic. Thank you, everybody that tuned in and was interacting with us and listening to Cherese's story. Also, obviously, thank you so much, Cherese, for coming on and sharing it. This was fantastic. You really dropped a ton of really good nuggets of information here. I'm putting in the chat right now our website. StemWave.com. Super simple. If any of you guys that are watching this live or in the future, you have any interest in bringing a non-invasive modality into your practice, getting the type of results that we heard Cherese get with her patients and her family, being a better business person for your practice, getting all the support that Cherese talked about that she's been benefiting from, just go to StemWave.com. There's a million places to click a button and book a call with our team. Maybe you'll get Dario if you're
Maybe.
lucky, but it doesn't matter. Any one of our sales members is fantastic. And you'll have a great experience, just like Cherese had with Dario. And we will make sure that this is something that's right for your practice. I will say that we don't work with everybody. That's why we have a 98% success rate. We really want to make sure this is something that's going to work well for you, your patients, and your practice. That's also why we give a 60-day guarantee or a 60-day trial, a risk-free trial. You try it for 60 days. If for whatever reason you don't like it, you send it back, you don't pay for it. So we stand by that. We believe in our device. You heard it from Cherese's mouth. If you're not successful, it's not the device. It's not what we offer. It's, something that you guys are neglecting to do, maybe a step in the process, but work with our team. We'll get you there no matter what. So again, just want to say thank you so much. So great talking to you. I can't wait to check back in another 5, 6 months and hear how much more you're crushing it.
Yeah. Well, thank you all very much. Honestly, I'm very, very grateful to all of you. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you on the next one in the next couple of weeks. Take
Okay.
care. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.